Right, yeah. My friend Trevor and I used to like sailing on a Sunday. We'd sail from Salt Ash down the River Tamar to Mount Edgecombe. And in the pub there at Mount Edgecombe, they used to have a Sunday folk club run by a guy called Fiddler Jennings. Fiddler played the violin. He was an ex-Royal Marine. Sometimes we used to get pretty slaughtered in there in those sessions. One day we came out and we could barely stand up. The tide had gone out and left the boat marooned halfway up the beach, and we had to get a load of people out of the pub to help us carry it down to the water. As soon as we got in the boat on the water, I sheeted the foresail in. Trevor was standing in the back with a rudder in his arms, which he was about to hang on the pintle. The motion threw him over and he fell in the boat. He dropped the rudder overboard, and we took off at a rate of knots with no rudder. Such was life when we used to sail to the Sunday Folk Club. In another boat, a 25-foot catamaran, we decided that we were going to sail down to the Scilly Islands. We were in the Dolphin the night before we left, and we were discussing our plans. And the guy in there said, "Have you got any flares?" And we said, "No, we haven't got any flares." And he said, "Well, you can't go on this trip without any flares." So we said, "Oh, we're not bothered about it, we'll be fine." So this guy insisted that he would get some flares, because he had a boat that was moored in the harbour nearby, and he went off and came back with a selection of flares for us. So we actually set sail from Who Lake the following morning. We had a full set of flares. On the first day sailing, which was very pleasant, we had a good time. We got down as far as Falmouth, and we decided to put into Falmouth and have a run ashore in local pubs, which we did. We spent all evening in the local pub, one of the local pubs, drinking and trying to chat up two girls, unsuccessfully. In the morning, because we'd been drinking so much, we overslept and we didn't set sail when we'd planned to. There was a gale that was forecast for later in the day, but we decided that we'd be down there and in port by the time that it hit. That didn't work out like that. The gale hit us when we were 15 miles offshore. Things started getting a bit hairy. We'd reduced all the sail right down. It was all reefed in, so it was a bare minimum. The boat was still sailing too fast and taking a pounding. We had a sea anchor that was made from an old car tyre. We threw the sea anchor over the back. We'd forgot to tie the rope on, so we'd lost the sea anchor, and we were in a bit of trouble actually. And then I noticed Trevor's sleeping bag floating in the water, and I said to Trevor, "That looks like your sleeping bag floating in the water." And he looked and he said, "Well, that looks like yours as well." And we went down below, and there was a huge hole in the boat. The boat was filling up with water, and everything that could float was floating out through it. And it's really strange. But when we thought we were going to die, I mean, we're 15 miles offshore and the boat's sinking. And we thought we were going to die. And it's very strange, but when you think that's going to happen, you don't panic. We felt very, very calm. And Trevor said to me, "Have you got any regrets, Bri?" And I said, "Only one, Trevor." And he said, "What's that?" I said, "We didn't get to shag those two girls last night." I said, "We could have died happy." So we had a good laugh about that. Then we remembered that we had the flares that the guy had given us. So Trevor fired off a maroon. For those of you who don't know, that's the thing that goes right up high in the air. Then it makes a bang that could wake the dead, and then the flare comes down on a parachute. So Trevor fired one off, and a boat appeared over the horizon. So we also had the handheld smoke flares. So we let one of them off so they could see where we were. And it was a Royal Naval Research Defence, Royal Naval boat that they used for charting the oceans. And they rescued us, and then they put us on a fishing boat, and the fishing boat took us into Newlyn, where we spent the night at the Seaman's Mission. So that was the end of our trip to the Scilly Islands. Shortly after this, I lost touch with Trevor because I moved up to Essex, and I didn't know what happened to Trevor for many years. It was 20 odd years later when I found out what happened to Trevor. And Trevor afterwards had built a ferro cement boat, and he'd spent 12 years sailing it around the world. Apparently during the 12 years he had sunk twice. But Trevor's still about, and still having fun, probably the same as I am. So I hope you like that story. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.